the big screen. Please welcome Joseph Fiennes. Very nice introduction. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you for coming to Zurich. It's a pleasure. Listen, Joseph, I heard that you basically joined production quite late, a couple of weeks prior to actually filming started. What made you so sure this is going to be the project that I want to do next? And I heard that you were very passionate about being part of it.
Firstly, guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. Thank you for coming, thank you for being here, and thank you to the Film Festival. So, to answer your question, yes, I had all but 11 days to prepare. I got a phone call as I was catching a flight to say, would you like to come and join us? And I was very excited, but I had very little time to prepare. But it was luckily enough, I was working with a first-time director, film director, Kim Farron, who is wonderfully intense with actors, and allowed for a great rehearsal process. But I should just say, firstly, thank you for Zurich Film Festival for screening this, because this is all about championing really young filmmakers. And there's a lot of talk in Hollywood about diversity. Well, I've worked in the business in film for over 20 years, and this is the first time I've worked with a female director. Can you believe it? So we need more female directors. So this is what we need to champion. But seriously, this is appalling. It is appalling. And I kind of scratched my head going, God, how did 20 years go past? And this is the first time I've worked with a female director. So this is, we're watching this, we're celebrating young, first-time directors. So thank you, Zurich Festival for showing this film and championing that cause too.
You just said that it was a very intense preparation to do this movie, but the subject of the movie is very intense as well. How draining was it, you know, to play something like this psychologically for a couple of weeks, especially with the theme of it, because you see it all over the media every day. You know, kids gone missing, and the parents are in complete grief, and they don't know what to do. How did you cope with that, and especially how did you prepare? I mean, is there a way to prepare for this kind of role?
It's harrowing, you know, the thought of that makes me shudder. My heart goes out to any family who have been caught up in the repercussions of missing children. And as a parent of two, you know, I think about that all the time, and of course there's an immediate connection to the subject matter and my personal life as a father. So, you know, there's not much preparation, it's all there. I think it's all in our minds and our hearts about protecting our children, but also not too much. So it's about this. What's interesting about your question is that if you, that delicate balance as a parent, I'm sure you all know, and better than me, so who am I to say, but a sense that there's a balance, isn't there, between protecting, but also allowing that those individuals to go out and have confidence and be on their own a bit, to walk into the woods alone, come back. So there's an important balance, and what we have here is a family that's broken down, there's a marriage that's breaking down, there's some secrets and lies that we work out that's affected the family in a big way. They've had to move from the city to a smaller town to get away from the stigma of what's happened. And the father, the character I play, has kind of recoiled from being a more tactile father in light of his daughter and budgeting sexuality, and a mother that's sort of really suffering in a great way, having a mental breakdown. So it's a complex piece. It's not your generic popcorn film from Hollywood. So that's another reason why I was drawn to it. Why I'm drawn to these gnarly, dark, smart subject matters, I don't know. But you know, it's a very, very difficult theme, and it's very difficult for a female director, first-time director, to take on an independent movie of this subject matter. So it's great you're watching it. We need more films that get into the nitty-gritty debate. A good film should throw up discussion and debate, and I think this film does just that.
You know, thinking about the theme and what you just said about preparing for it, you know, that every one of us basically takes that, protection gene inside of him to protect the family. Does the atmosphere on set have to be light in that sense? You know, when you focus on something like that you lighten up at night, or is everyone sort of focused on themselves and they go to their trailer and they, I don't know, what was the atmosphere like, especially with the first-time director like Kim?
Well, I think, firstly, we have to celebrate Kidman. She's on top form. She's doing an extraordinary performance. I think she's at her best here. If it wasn't for Nicole Kidman, this film probably wouldn't have got greenlit, because it is such a tough subject matter. So, Hugo Weaving, Nicole Kidman, Kim Farron, myself, and a number of wonderful Australian actors, we're very much aware of how tough it is to get an independent movie. This is a co-production also between Ireland and Australia, but how difficult it is to get these movies made. And so people don't just disappear. There is a good sense of focus, but there's a great deal of respect and love towards the material and why we're there and the difficult task you have. I think we had about 3 or 4 days taken off the schedule because there's not enough money, there's not enough days. So we're all up against it. So given the fact we're all up against it, you do bond together as a cast because you have to realise getting the film done and made. So people don't just disappear and go off to their traders. This is a sort of a family that gets together to get the movie made.
How would you sum up the experience of doing Strangerland?
Dark at times. It's a tough subject matter. I was very happy to get out of the house when I'd finished making the film, as it were. But how would I sum it up? It's challenging on all fronts and painful as well. It's a painful, gnarly piece. It doesn't leave you. I mean, I guess at the end there is some redemptiveness at the end, but it's going to leave you unsettled. You may be, you'll all have your own opinions, but it's not generic. But for me, that's what independent movies are about. If we don't have integral, interesting subject matters, we don't adapt to new ways of thinking. If we don't adapt, we die and our product becomes stale. So this is all about the product being fresh, however much you might like it or not like it, at least it's serving up something new and fresh.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you for coming to Zurich. Thank you for bringing this amazing project with you. Ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Fiennes. Meine Damen und Herren, ladies and gentlemen, it's really hard to say enjoy this movie, but it's an amazing movie, as Joseph has put it so, Strangerland.